What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to the BS Show. We are 2 days post UFC 241. I wanted to do a little bit of post-fight analysis from the BS Show crew. Took a couple days to really think about it, and I watched, the fights over. I watched all 3 fights over. I was actually at a party, and I had drank a little bit too much. So when I was watching the fights, sometimes when you watch a fight drunk and you rewatch it again, you see things that you didn't see before. So watched it again, watched the post-fight conference, so I wanted to get on here and do a little video. So first things first, can we all agree that that was an absolute awesome night of fights? I mean, the whole card was good, especially the main card. And then the top 3 fights that I spoke about on an earlier video were all great fights. It lived up to the hype, every single one of them. And there's nothing better than when you spend your hard-earned money on a fight card and it pans out to be great. I love that. There's nothing worse than paying 60, 70 bucks, bringing your buddies over, bringing some beer and some food, and bam, it's a stinker. So let's talk about the first fight. The first fight of the 3, which was Paulo Costa against Yoel Romero. I said in my video before, I had a hard time understanding how that fight could possibly go to a decision, and it did. And I think everybody, while they were watching that fight, was thinking, there's no way this is going to go to a decision. Within the first round, both guys scored a knockdown. When Yoel Romero knocked down Paulo Costa, you could probably make an argument that that was more of a slip, but we'll just go with it was a knockdown, and these dudes were just slugging it out. I mean, going at it, punches, kicks, wrestling, throwing each other around. It was a great fight, and to watch those guys that big, that strong, that jacked, be able to move for 3 rounds that much and just going at it is such a testament to the cardio of those guys. Now, Yoel Romero did try to pull a few things, which he always does, taking the time with getting knee in the groin. I understand that, but he always tries to find a way to get a break or to get some extra breaths in there. And he tried it again, but luckily Paulo Costa is the type of guy that he forces the action. The pressure that he puts on his opponent is just ridiculous. So he was constantly moving forward, and he was forcing Yoel Romero to engage, and he wasn't giving him any time to catch his breath or to take a break. So that fight was amazing. Paulo Costa needs a title shot. Whoever wins between Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa needs to fight him. I don't care who wins that fight. I really like both guys, but give Paulo Costa a shot. Going into this fight, everybody was saying Paulo Costa hasn't fought anybody. This guy, he's not the real deal, blah, 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 blah. Well, shut up now. He proved everybody wrong. He beat Yoel Romero in a decision, which I agree with. I will admit I think it was a narrow decision, but I think Paulo Costa won. He was pushing forward. He was advancing way, way more than Yoel Romero. I think the statistic was 40%, 46% of the time he was advancing. Not to mention he landed some big shots. He was throwing some great body shots. So get Paulo Costa a title shot. If he does not get a title shot soon, give him another guy that's a perennial contender and let him beat him up to prove people that this guy is a stud. So Paulo Costa deserves a title shot. Next fight, the return of Nate Diaz, the 3-year layoff. Will he have ring rust or will he not? Absolutely not. He did not have ring rust. I did talk to Steven from the BS Show. He was at the party with us, and we both said Nate did look a little bit sloppy in the first round. His boxing looked a little sloppy. He just looked a little off. I don't think that has anything to do with ring rust because Nate Diaz is a true martial artist. He's always training. He's got some of the best training partners in the entire world. But, I just think that, maybe he was trying to get used to it. And he was fighting a killer in Anthony Pettis. So I can't really put my finger on what or why, but he just looked a little bit sloppy compared to how he usually looks. But he erased all of that in the second and third round. He really went to the clinch. And in his post-fight interview, he said, hey, man, I wasn't even working on the clinch. I just kind of take the fight as it comes, and I do what's presented to me. And that is a testament to how good Nate Diaz is. They went to the ground. They had a few little good rolls on there. They both switched positions. But Nate Diaz won an overwhelming decision. I think he doubled up on significant strikes. He controlled the cage. He controlled the clinch. I mean, Nate Diaz walked through Anthony Pettis, in my opinion. And if we can just look at this for a second, for all these people out there that are saying Nate Diaz is overrated, first of all, you guys are morons, okay? I'm sorry, but if you say Nate Diaz is overrated, you are an absolute moron. He just beat a guy who has been active for the past 3 years. He has fought Tony Ferguson, and he knocked him down. He could have won that via stoppage. He beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by knocking his damn head off, and he was out cold. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is one of the best strikers in UFC history. And he had another fight, I believe. He fought Max Holloway, and he broke his hand, I believe, or somehow got injured, and he lost that fight to Max Holloway. My point is Anthony Pettis has been active. He's been fighting for the past 3 years. Nate Diaz has not. Nate Diaz has been training, but he's coming off the couch, essentially, going into this ring, and he's fighting a killer in Anthony Pettis, who just had one of the best highlight knockouts of his career and is one of the best fighters, you know, in the UFC, which is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So for Nate Diaz to come in and dominate Anthony Pettis the way that he did, let's give this guy some credit. Let's accept the fact that this dude is an absolute superstar. Let's accept the fact that this dude is a perennial title contender, and let's give him a shot. And I love, love, love that he called out Jorge Masvidal, and he did it in such a badass way, man. He said he's a gangster, but he ain't no West Coast gangster. He's real, I'm real. We've both been in this game for a long time. Let's do it. That's how you call somebody out. Nate Diaz has been on record saying multiple times, I don't want an easy fight. I just want to fight dudes, you know, who are the best fighters. I want to fight dudes who are on my level. It doesn't get much more real than that. And that is why Nate Diaz is loved by the fans, and he's finally getting the recognition he is due, as is Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal is finally, after being in this sport for, what, 15 years, finally getting the recognition he is due, because these dudes are legit fighters. So I was very impressed by Nate Diaz, and I hope he sticks around. I hope he stays active. I hope he fights, you know, every once or twice a year, if not more. I mean, he's always in shape. He's always doing a lot of cardio, so I hope he sticks around. And then for the main event, Stipe Miocic versus DC2. I mean, I picked Stipe. We always do a pre-fight pick. We circle the names, and I picked Stipe. And boy, was I nervous for the first 3 rounds. DC was doing really well. DC was having a lot of success. He looked quicker. He just looked better, in my opinion. But a testament to Stipe, you know, every corner he went in, they obviously made adjustments, and he came back in there and he did it. He started landing those body shots, which I think that's kind of what turned the tide. He wasn't throwing those body shots in the first 2 rounds. And then, I believe in the 3rd and 4th round, before he got the stoppage, he was throwing those body shots, which was forcing DC to think about it, which was forcing him to be like, oh shoot, you know. And Stipe was getting on his bike a little bit. He was moving better. And then at the heavyweight division, we all see it. It just takes that one shot. It takes one shot, and you can put the lights out. And that's what Stipe did. He landed that shot, and he went and pounded on him, and he got the win. But in my opinion, Stipe did not look as good in the first 2 rounds as I thought he would. He looked a little lethargic. His movement didn't look very good. But that's to me. That was to me. That's my opinion. I don't think he looked horrible, but I just think DC looked really, really good. He just got caught. So moving forward, what are we going to see in the heavyweight division? Is DC going to retire? Is Stipe going to call out John Jones? Is Stipe going to fight Francis Ngannou for a second time? I mean, I think Stipe has definitely cemented his legacy and as one of the best heavyweights of all time. Maybe we get a trilogy with DC. You got your 1-1. Let's do it again. The winner fights John Jones at heavyweight. I don't know. I mean, I would be more than happy to see that. So I think it was a great night of fights, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what should be next for everybody that was involved, because all 3 guys have legitimate arguments for title shots if they're not next in line. But at the same time, Stipe can defend his title. Who do you think's worthy of that? So thank you for tuning in, guys, and have a great afternoon.